Boy, do I have something to show y'all. So today, I've been mowing all week. Today it was this pasture that we call Fangorn Forest. All right, we call it Fangorn because it's full of trees. Some of them are misshapen. Anyways, but you know, all the way down through there, up here, we were getting a lot of this tree right here that's got all the pretty flowers on it. What is that? I always wanted to call it a camellia. I know that's not right. But anyways, it's one of them there trees. We have a lot of them in the south. And it is lovely, but it's just too big. And my wife has finally given me the okay to get that thing down. So this winter, we're going to say goodbye to that. I hate it. You know, but anyways, point is I was in here mowing the grass. And, well, that's the pump house right there. This tree right here has been a heavy leaner since we moved in. But the big storm that we had earlier that took down a great big white oak tree got my wife scared that this one was going to fall. I hadn't really given it too much attention because it's not a very big tree. It's only about 22 inches at the base there, and it doesn't have much of a crown or anything. And so it's a lightweight tree. I never really, you know, I just wasn't concerned with it. Well, whenever I was in here mowing, I got all kinds of concern. You guys see all around here, it has begun to actually lift. It's no longer just leaning. It has begun to lose its root structure and lift on this side right here. So it is definitely leaning further than it usually does, I think, you know. And so I was like, well, we got to do something about this. Bad. Called up Daniel, saw if he was free. He is not. He got 2 weeks before he can get out here. So I ran and I grabbed my bucket with my throw weight, which is somewhere up in there stuck in the tree. I think you can maybe see the line for it right there. But anyways, I ended up, what I did, I took that bar of metal right there and tied my rope in it and threw it up there around that dead limb. And I now have a line anchoring to this red oak right here. And now, if there's one thing I know, it's my knots. Let me tell you, let me show you what I got going on here. This right here is a fliz flapper tied to an adjoining combobulate, which comes up here to this flim flapper that is in there in the doohickey. We wrap this rope around into this flim flapper, into that flim flapper, back into this flim flapper, back into that flim flapper, and then we wrap it around with a Shizmolet Wismadak, and then we secure it with a nice little fizzy wallop. I used my tractor on this flim flap, hooked down that way, pulling downhill so that I could get it real nice and taut. Once I had it real nice and taut, I then hooked up all the flim flappers and the zingle boppers and all that stuff. And this baby hopefully don't go nowhere. I don't know anything about knots. They get so damn complicated, and there you have it. But we've got some decent weight on it. I mean, honestly, not much. That's probably only about 400 pounds of tension, really, you know, because I was doing what my tractor could do going downhill. Then I tied it up best I could, but then as soon as I let off my tractor, you know, we let go of some slack. But it's probably got a good 400 pounds or more, because it is tight, you know. It's a nice tight rope that is holding on to it and pulling it back in this direction. The only thing I can really hope for is that if a storm comes before Daniel's able to get out here, that tree will just kind of hold it in place. If it wants to go, it's going to go, you know. But hopefully this will encourage it to hang around for just a little bit longer. And then we're going to have to piecemeal it out, because if we pull it back this direction, it's going to fall on stuff back here that I don't want it to land on. You know, we got a fence back there, and we got trees that I don't want to get smashed. I definitely don't want it to fall on my pump house and make it any worse than it is. This is what it looks like. Branches have fallen on it, smashed up the little overhang roof there. The sheep like to get underneath there and have shelter and stuff. But anyways, yeah, that's what's part of what happened today. Got to prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. Hopefully this tree will not come down on its own. Hopefully we can get Daniel out here pretty quick. And to those of you guys that think, why don't I just climb it myself? Well, I can barely climb as it is. I'll be damned if I'm going to do it on a tree that's possibly going to come up, and I'm definitely not going to do it by myself. So, see what I'm saying? I am definitely a risk taker. I take risks, but I'm not stupid. And I am pretty aware of my limitations. And I am not going to be doing that. That's just asking to get hurt. And, well, I don't want to get hurt any more than any of y'all do. And, oh, Jason Scott, he sent me some pictures. I'm doing this all on my phone, so I really won't be able to add these pictures in. But, hell, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'll do it. So, he's been felling trees for 26 years. Just the other day, he had one fall on a shed of sorts, some sort of shed. But, you know, I was talking with him about it. I was like, the only, you know, shit happens, right? Shit happens to everybody. And I said, the only thing that shit doesn't happen to, the only people that shit doesn't happen to is the people that don't do shit. You know, I mean, if you're out here doing this stuff, even if you're a professional, absolute pro, shit happens. It happens to all of us. And then, if you're an amateur like me, you try not to overstep your bounds. You really do, but shit's got to get done. I can't pay for somebody to come every time I need a tree fell. I can't do it. I literally ain't got that money. It's expensive. So, I got to save my money for the times like this where I've got to call an actual pro. And, yeah, get it taken care of. Here's another shot. That tall one right there, that's the canopy. And let's see. Right there's a branch coming off of it. But you can see the canopy is not very large at all. So it's a pretty young red oak. And they tend to get their height before they get any crown on them of any kind of substance, really. And it's been my experience, very rarely do any of them get big enough to get a really nice crown. I mean, it happens for sure, because, I mean, I have several on my properties that have really big crowns. But red oaks, the root system doesn't seem to go very deep in those guys. And so, something tends to happen. You know, if they're in the forest, then they get tall because they're trying so hard to get sunlight, but they don't spread out. If they're not in the forest, they can spread out more, but it still takes them a long time. A long time. So I'm walking up here because I'm fixing to show you one of my bigger ones that is probably going to come down pretty soon. That's one of my bigger red oaks. Nice big crown on it, you know. That guy at the base, that's probably about 48 inches at the base, maybe a little bit more. And by the base, I'm talking about like right there. It's probably 45, 48 inches, something like that. That's a big tree. Down here at the root structure, you know, the actual stump, oh my gosh, that's probably 5-6 feet across there. So anyways, red oaks can get big, and they do get big, but from my experience, they don't get huge all that often. Probably they just tend to come down before they have a chance to get really old and mature and big, because their root systems just don't run very deep. That's what I've seen on my property. Anyways, that's about enough of this here video, don't you think? What do you guys think about the Bobby Boucher versus the world? That's cool, huh? I like that chainsaw. But I like that 064 too. It's going to be really interesting to see which one's faster there, because it's toss-up, really. I mean, the more I think about it, the less I know which one's going to be faster. But I'll get to it eventually. If you guys are out there wondering, why don't you just go do it and show us? Well, I've got a life. I do things besides video for YouTube. You know, I have events happening to me daily, like this right here that you just saw, you know. Anyways, that's enough. Check you later.